Welcome to my channel. I'm so happy you're here. Go ahead, take the time to click subscribe because you're gonna love it here. I am Italia Struble. I was born in Zimbabwe and I grew up in the US. We moved to Nebraska when I was 4 years old, and then middle schoolish time we moved to Texas. So I always say I grew up in Dallas. I grew up in Plano. I know, I don't want to hear about it. Throughout middle school, high school, I really wanted to go and be a doctor. I even looked at going to medical school in the Caribbean. One of my doctors had been a nurse prior to, so then I was like, oh, maybe let me look into this. So I ended up going into nursing. I went to college in Wichita Falls, very small. I went to the nursing school program there. And originally when I started nursing, I wasn't sure, like, I just wanted to be a nurse, but I wasn't sure what I wanted to go into. And so I ended up going into the NICU because my niece was in the NICU when she was younger. And I feel like I just loved all the nurses there. And so I began my career actually in the adult world. I worked adult world for like years, and then I transitioned into the NICU. Before I was supposed to go into the ICU, I actually failed my NCLEX, but because I failed my NCLEX, I was able to meet my husband. I know my husband because I failed a test, met a girl. We went to Thailand, met my husband in Thailand, and my husband is German. So that's where Germany kind of got into the mix. But prior to that, I actually did travel nursing, worked in the NICU, moved to California. I lived in Sacramento, also lived in Los Angeles, and kind of traveled there. And then I would go back and forth to Dallas. I had like a per diem kind of situation there. And if you don't know what per diem, that means like PRN, meaning I worked as needed. So I had a specific amount of hours that I needed to work in order to fulfill my job. And so in that, then when I started traveling, we went up to Sacramento. The next year we got married, and the plan was to work one more contract, then move back to Dallas, and then like buy a house, do the whole thing there. I was actually offered a permanent position in Sacramento. Like, I lived in Roseville, California, so north of Sacramento. And I was just like, okay, well, like, let's just do this. Like, let's do this thing. And so we went ahead, went house hunting. My husband was actually FaceTiming. I sent him videos of the houses, and we would FaceTime to do the house tours. Yeah. So that was around 2017. We bought our first home, and just like California was where we were meant to be, that's where we were going to live. We bought this house. We had created a community. And then in 2018, my husband moved to the US. We did all of the paperwork, all of that for getting him to become a permanent resident. Back to we would travel every 2-ish months somewhere. We were in Mexico, we were in New Zealand, Puerto Rico, we were everywhere. We were doing all types of stuff. Then in 2019, we actually came here to Heidelberg, Germany for Christmas exploring, and this was the first time that I experienced the Christmas markets. It was so lovely. I had glue wine for the first time. Like, there was just so many experiences that I enjoyed, and that is when my husband dropped a bomb on me. He dropped a bomb on me, baby. It was like, I don't like the United States. Not in that way. Maybe he just said, like, I'm not feeling California. And I was like, oh my gosh, okay, like, what are we gonna do? Well, I actually have a job opportunity here in Germany. And I was like, okay, let me think it out, you know? Let's go through Christmas and then we're gonna figure it out. What was I gonna do? Like, I'm a nurse. I went to school for a long time. I took a lot of tests. This was my career. I loved my career. And I was like, okay, like, how am I gonna do this? And so it was really the test of time because I was like, I've got to figure this out. And in this Google search, I found blogging. And people had always told me before, like, you should blog, and your husband's story is so unique. You should talk about it, blah, blah, blah. And I never took it to, like, not that I never took it to heart, but I just kind of was like, we could definitely do that. Yeah. That's when I really started taking it seriously. And I was like, let me just see where I can start. I started posting online. I wanted to go in the travel niche, and I was like, okay, let me see, like I have all of these travels that I've documented, let me start my blog. And so I actually launched my blog, ataleaboutagirl.com. I just kind of wrote about different travel experiences that I had, but in all honesty, I launched this blog with zero content. Slowly but surely getting blog posts up, talking about different travels, planning travel, and this was at the beginning of 2020. We all know what happened in 2020. The overall goal was, how can I make it to Germany with some type of income? How am I gonna survive? How am I gonna make some money? And so in the end, I was like, what is it that I can do? I started posting on Instagram, getting on there, kind of being like, okay, like, hey, I'm sharing myself, sharing the things. Mind you, I was never the person to post on socials. If you were to scroll all the way back, you will see that I posted probably just my top 9 one year. I couldn't do that because I didn't have 9 photos that I posted on social media. So I wasn't a social media galley, but I knew I needed to be one. And I started actually posting on Instagram, and then later on Reels came out. And so I started posting Reels and started getting traction. Let's get this, let's do it, let's go. I really got into the strategy point of things. Like, rather than me posting for people to I guess get travel information for me, I really started to look at like analytics, the marketing, all of this. And so I started doing social media management on the side for a couple of friends. I was like, oh, like, let me help you grow your channel, blah, blah, blah. I actually worked for a multi-billion-dollar company, and so that was like my job. And honestly, the way, looking back at it playing in my head, I'm like, wow, you really did that. In December, it was like, what am I gonna do? By November of 2020, I had a full-time position paying really good money, and I was like, okay, like I'm ready to go. And prior to that, obviously I had money saved. There's different aspects, and if you guys want to go into the nitty-gritty details, let me know in the comments and we can chat it up. I can even do a whole video on just like things to prepare to move abroad. But that is how it like began, and it didn't come from a place of like, I want to quit this job, like I don't like this job. Like, I really, till this day, can say I love nursing. I love the practice. I love to care for people. I love the NICU. I love being there when people bring their little babies into the world. It's like the most amazing thing. I want to backtrack just a tiny bit and like kind of talk about the fear. I think a lot of the times when you have something that's so good, you've dreamt of something and it is so good and you finally have it, and now you're letting it go, right? And I look back and I replay a lot of moments in my head of like, okay, like what was I thinking? I was just like full throttle, like let's go. But it was very scary because I was like, okay, what am I gonna do if this doesn't work out? But at the end of the day too, if it didn't work out, I would just go back to work. It's not something where I can't go back to this career, but I had a certain amount of time to experience this other side of life. It was very scary, yes, but going through it and kind of building something that was my own. I mean, you can still listen to my podcast. I have my blog. I have so much different content. I've helped so many different women grow and expand their online businesses, quit their 9-to-5s, like become different versions of themselves. And that is beyond rewarding. It's truly special to build something from ground zero and grow it to a certain point. I didn't take time to think about the things that were difficult, like learning a new language, making friends over here, figuring out all the things German, which requires a lot of paperwork. But I didn't stop and do that because my overall goal was to live in this present time and not focus so much on missing my friends, missing my family, all of these things that now 6 years later I'm looking back and it's like real for me. Right now I have my son. Now I miss those friends and those family members where I'm like, oh my gosh, like I just want my son to be around them. One thing I love is FaceTime. my son knows his family through FaceTime, and when they're reunited, it's not even going to be a thing. When you meet a German man, you marry him, and that is why I'm here in Germany. For those of you wondering, like, okay, what got you there? We are actually renovating my husband's childhood home, and we have been renovating since 2021. We have 4 apartments here. We've completed all 4 apartments. We just needed to renovate 2 of them. So the other 2 were already renovated. And now we want to move on to the backyard, which is going to be a whole entire different experience. I will be doing a video on our apartment transformation, the before and after. Do I miss nursing? I miss aspects of nursing. I honestly, now that I have my son, I feel that a lot of it is like just the timing, you know, like now luckily he is doing daycare, so I have some time to get work done, but it's a different animal to have your own business and also be a mother of a smaller child, like the toddler stages, because it's not like I can be like, go play by yourself while I record a video. That's just not going to happen. And so I miss aspects of nursing. I miss the stability. What I do miss about nursing is clocking out and being like, okay, I'm done. And there's really no clock out in entrepreneurship. You can turn it off, but when you get back, there's nobody who's gonna take care of your patient or take care of all the things that you have to do. 100%. When I think about it, I feel like the life here is much slower. I'm going to be doing like a broad series where we kind of go over just like the life here. There is a better work-life balance, but I also think with the nursing, it's so different because you work 3 days a week, and so you do have that balance. I definitely would do this again. I have connected with so much of our other side of our family, and built so many relationships that would not have happened. At the end of the day, I sacrificed a multiple 6-figure income to move here to Germany to start over, starting fresh, starting from zero. And I honestly don't think that there's a life that's one is better than the other. I have really worked hard to nurture this life here. I don't think that we will live here in the long term. Just factors which I will talk about here on the channel as time goes by. For now, this is home. I really love what we're building. My son's gonna have a place that he's gonna have forever that he can utilize to make income. He can live here with his family. He can, I don't know, do whatever he wants to do with it. Building for the future is something that is constantly on my mind nowadays. I'm really grateful and thankful to live here. I would do this all over again, and I do believe that this was the right decision to move our family here to Germany. And if you found this video because you're wanting to move abroad, you're interested in moving abroad, you just love watching people live abroad, then you are in the right place. Go ahead, click subscribe. In the comments, ask me all the questions. So happy you're here, and welcome to the fam.